Hello, Dr. Flight, here to present a segment of material on strategies for leaders. These would be strategies leaders could use throughout the product life cycle. And in particular, we're thinking about strategies that might include defending market share. They might include being aggressive and taking market share away from other competitors, and so forth. So we think about different strategies then leaders will engage in to protect and grow market share and sales relative to the competition that they're facing throughout the product life cycle. We'll also think about different objectives that leaders will want to accomplish once they're in the marketplace and they have an established product. As we talk about specific goals and objectives and strategies for leaders, one of the things we can review are the growth market dynamics. We know that during growth markets, increasing number of competitors lead into the shakeout phase. We also know that the market itself is becoming better defined, which would suggest maybe some fragmentation or greater segmentation taking place as competitors come in and try to carve out little pieces of the marketplace. We also know, though, that the technology and the product that's being produced is becoming more innovative, and changes to the product and additions to the product are taking place to create more interest in the marketplace and importantly to allow competitors to differentiate themselves from each other. So this differentiation is leading to greater innovation and changes to the actual product that's being sold. So as we move through the product life cycle, this stage is earmarked by that. We know that leaders want to continue to grow sales volume in this particular period of time. But we want to be able to also retain customers and grow new customers as the market develops more and grows as a whole. So there are several things that we think about in terms of strategy for leaders to engage in as they move forward. We want to be able to keep our current customers by improving satisfaction and loyalty. And so there are some things that we can certainly do. We can control quality. So we can really work on making sure that our product works correctly and works for the customer the way they need it to work. We can also make some modifications and improvements to our product. So just as new technology and innovation is coming into the marketplace because of competitors, we can do this ourselves. We want to be able to add new versions of our product and so forth. We want to continue to advertise, continue to build awareness. We want to increase sales force, servicing, being able to work with our customers. And a big issue here we haven't talked about much is post-purchase behavior. One of the things that is important is that after a sale is made, we want to be able to follow up with the customer, provide post-purchase services to the customer so that they come back and buy from us again. So we want to be able to increase customer satisfaction, loyalty, and also motivate for more frequent and repeat purchases. So if we can encourage our consumers to buy sooner, buy more often, then this is certainly a goal that we want to be able to have. In addition, while we're thinking about our goals for leaders, two things come up here where we want to be defensive in the sense that we want to protect the industry for ourselves. There's a notion called a barrier to entry, and this is where a competitor is looking at this industry or looking at this product market and they're thinking about getting in, but in order to be able to jump into this marketplace, the competitor has to actually has to produce the product. They have to be able to connect with the customer. They have to arrange for channels of distribution and so on and so forth. So what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to make it as hard as possible for a competitor to actually come into the product market. So for instance, if we have a technology that we patent, and so our technology is patented, which prohibits a competitor from using it, that would be a barrier to entry. If we make arrangements with our suppliers, and we partner with suppliers and our suppliers agree to exclusively serve us, then that means our competitors are not going to be able to get supplies from those suppliers, creating a barrier to entry because it's going to be difficult for them to maybe get raw materials. Maybe we create exclusive distribution deals so that our product is distributed in certain retailers that are attractive to the marketplace, and maybe those retailers are only willing to carry our product and they're not willing to carry our competitors' products. That would create a barrier to entry. So what we want to do then is we want to create opportunities for that would be difficult for our competitors to be able to jump into the marketplace, and that's a barrier to entry. It reduces competition and it protects our market share long term. Another thing here that we want to do is we want to be able to reduce the attractiveness of switching. This should be of switching from our product to a competitor's product. So in other words, if a customer is buying our product, we don't want to make it easy for them to go to our competitors. So we want to lock them in and reduce the switching capabilities of the product itself. So if we can develop a product line or some type of a line of products where if you buy one, you're going to want to buy another, and one product goes into another product. If I buy an Xbox One system, and then I need to buy the games that go with that system, and so I'm not going to buy a PlayStation game because I don't have a PlayStation system. I'm locked into that one platform. If I use an Apple product, I'm much more likely to use other Apple products because they go with each other, they extend, and they sync with each other. So I'm less likely to buy a non-Apple tablet if I have an Apple phone because I can't sync them together. They won't work right because the operating systems aren't compatible. So if we can find ways to keep customers from switching, and locking them into maybe long-term contracts or having ancillary products that go with each other, that's certainly a good thing. That's a good way to retain current customers. We also want to be able to stimulate selective demand. If you recall, selective demand is when we try to gain market share by taking market share away from our competitors. The notion is consumers could select or choose who they buy the product from, and so at this point they have choice, and they can choose your product or choose competitors, and we want to be able to take them away. In fact, it's the opposite of switching. We want to be able to have them switch from us to them. So we can use direct positioning. So we would mimic products directly to those of our competitors. We would try to match or lower our price to our competitors. Occasionally, we'll do some direct advertising. So this is one way we could do a direct positioning approach. Or the opposite of that is we could try to further distinguish ourselves from our competitors and use a differentiation strategy. So using a differentiation strategy or using a low price strategy are very common ways to compete And so these are fairly well known or well thought of approaches. They are in contradiction to each other. So if you directly compete with a competitor, it means that you're bringing yourself closer to them in order to take market share away. If you're using a differentiation strategy, you're really focusing on selling, actual selling your key features, and demonstrating how your key features are better than your competitors. So as a leader, then throughout the product life cycle, there are a number of different strategies then that we can bring together and talk about. They're illustrated in this picture, and we'll talk about each one in a little bit more detail. But there's one strategy called the fortress or defensive strategy, where you are in a defensive mode, and what you want to do is maintain and protect your market share. There's another one where we think of a confrontation strategy where we directly want to take market share from a competitor by bringing ourselves to them. So kind of the direct competition approach would be what we do here. Again, we're focused on selective demand. We use a flanker strategy occasionally when we have a second product that we bring to the marketplace that effectively overcomes any problems that our first product would have. So we add products to our product line, which are flanker types of products. It's called a flanker strategy because we want to come at our competitor with multiple products. So again, we're focusing on selective demand here. We have a fourth strategy which focuses on developing new markets. This would be in case where we're creating primary demand by creating a new product, and we're looking for new markets to reach with that. And then a fifth strategy is a strategy where we leave the market or product market to focus our resources on other products that we have, where we don't feel like we can compete with somebody who's come into the marketplace, so we decide to leave or withdraw. So there are 5 different strategies outlined here during that leaders can take advantage of throughout the product life cycle, and in particular in growth markets. But really, these can be used at any time you have competition. So if you have competition, we can think about these strategies in particular. So I mentioned the fortress or position strategy. Position defense strategy. And in this case, we want to be able to retain market share. We want to just protect ourselves, protect our house. We want to focus on loyalty and satisfaction among our existing customers. If you think about if the market is shrinking, or if it's declining, we want to protect ourselves. If it's a case where we have increased competition and we want to hold on to our market share, then this is what we want to take a very defensive position in a fortress strategy. We have the flanker position where if we think that there are vulnerable segments or competitors where we can offer a second or multiple products offerings that we can launch. We can do this with the idea that our second and third and fourth product offerings in a line extension will overcome deficiencies in our primary product and be able to offer the customers more offers. So we might think about this as a depth strategy as well, where we're trying to bring more products into the marketplace to satisfy our customers a little bit better. We have the confrontation strategy. Again, this is a direct approach to a competitor where our goal is to take market share directly from them. So that would be selective market share, but we view a threat and we're going to bring with them everything we've got. So this is a fairly high risk type of a strategy, by the way. This is, if it fails, then it makes it could have the reverse effect, of course. If it fails, the competitor may gain market share from you instead. Okay, we have market expansion techniques where we actually look to gain sales and volume from finding new customers in different markets. So new segments are reached by extending product lines to other consumer groups for other reasons. We could actually do this. Repositioning may actually create a new market for you with an existing product, for instance. It could be something that we do. And then the final act here is to leave or withdraw from the market, the product market itself. That's a possibility. It's a retreat. And the goal here would be to say, look, our competition is too strong here. What we're going to do is we're going to take our resources that we have and we're going to devote them to other products that we feel we can be more competitive in. Okay, so it's a resource allocation issue more than anything else when we think about contraction. Okay, so these are strategies for leaders. These are 5 different strategies that leaders can engage in. We talked about just a review of some of the growth stage issues. We talked about different objectives that leaders will want to engage in. They'll include increasing and improving customer satisfaction and loyalty. We want to motivate consumers to buy more often and more volume. So we want to really work our customers to continue to have them buy. So we want to increase our retention rate for customers or decrease our churn rate. So we want to have that repeat purchase number go up or percentage go up. We also competitively want to create barriers of entry for our competition, and also we want to give customers less reason to switch and more reason to stay with us as far as a company goes or a product goes. And then finally, we had 5 different strategies to protect and grow market share. We had 4, and then one strategy was to leave the marketplace. So this wraps up then a short discussion on strategies for leaders through the product lifecycle.